Hello, welcome to Sip This Juice. I am your host, Sunflower. In today's episode, we're going to talk about control issues. One of the hardest things to do is to let go of control. I'm at a point in my life where I'm focusing on the things that I can control rather than the things that I cannot. Shifting that energy and putting it into what you can control makes all the difference. So we're going to talk a little bit about how to navigate that, how to surrender, how to shift that focus, and the outcome of it. You know, it's not something that's done overnight. Some of us have been this way our entire lives. It's been a great challenge for me. But I learned to surrender and to let go and to let God, because some things are just naturally out of my control. And if I sit here and I try to control them, I'm not going to do anything other than drive myself up a wall. So with that being said, sit back, relax, and sip this juice. As every episode, we're going to start with some affirmations. The affirmations are pretty special today.
Today's affirmations are: I am in control of my own thoughts, words, and actions. I can control my delivery, but I cannot control someone else's response. I release the need to be in control of everything. When I feel I cannot control what is happening, I focus on the way I respond to it.
Thank you so much for reciting those affirmations with me and Maddie. So let's get into today's episode. So you have control issues. Welcome to the club. In all seriousness, what I can say is that being on the other side of control issues, I feel extremely liberated. I suffer from severe anxiety. And when I tell you that when I focus on the things that I can control rather than the things that I cannot, my anxiety gets that much easier to maintain. And I ain't saying I'm fully functional, but it does help. They say the first step to recovery is always admitting that you have a problem. Hello, my name is Sunflower, and I have control issues. See how easy that was? No, seriously. It's like I had to come to terms with it. I couldn't identify what it was. Like, what is it that causes me to stress out over the simplest of things? It's because I'm trying to control something that I have absolutely no control over. Outside factors, these things can be very frustrating. But what's even more frustrating is concentrating on the fact that you can't control that. When I am in a situation and I can't control what's happening, I immediately try to focus on what I can control, whether that be my breathing. So the first step is to breathe. Take a second and breathe, okay? And I know that though I can't control the situation, I can control my reaction, because I always say life is 10% what happens and 90% of how you respond to it. That is where the power lies. That is when the power does come into your control. My reaction is just one of the things that I can control. I control what I eat, how I treat my body, how I treat myself, how I allow others to treat me, how I spend my time, and my thoughts. Those are the things that I focus on controlling rather than things that I can't, like other people's actions, what people think of me, how people view me, how other people are going to react to the things that I do, and things that have done in the past. Because you can't go backwards and change the past. The only thing that you can do is do better moving forward. With the knowledge that you already have, do better. You knew better, you do better. I always say that. It's our ego that makes us feel like we need to be in control. That's all ego, baby. And we already talked about the ego. Like I said, I can go on all day about the ego, because stressing over the things that you can't control is just going to make the situation worse. You also have to be comfortable with not knowing. Maybe sometimes not knowing what's happening next and just kind of trusting in God and trusting in the universe as to something good is going to happen, something favorable. I started to affirm that everything just works out. Everything just works out in my favor. I don't know how. Everything just works out in my favor. And when I'm in a situation and it looks unfavorable for me, I take a moment and I stop, because I cannot control what is happening right now, but I can control my perception of it and shift it from why is this happening to me to what is this trying to teach me? What am I meant to learn? Sometimes the only thing you can do in a situation is surrender. Another thing is we can't necessarily force a person into change, no matter how hard we want them to change. If they aren't ready, they're not ready. And there's nothing we can do that's out of our control. Sometimes it hurts to watch, the people we love self-sabotage. We really want better for them, but until they want better for themselves, there's nothing we can do. Well, we can drive ourselves insane trying to change them. They have to want to make that change themselves. As much as you can see and recognize that need for healing, that need for change, and it could be because you've already been there, that's out of your control. One of the things I had to learn is that you can't force a person's healing, because you wouldn't want anybody putting a timeline on your healing. Take yourself out of your own shoes and put yourself in the person that you care about shoes. As much as we want people to heal, as much as we want people to stop self-sabotaging, as much as we want people to be the best version of themselves that we see, if they're not ready for it, that is something that is completely out of our control. And we have to just give them to God. We have to give those people to God. All you can do is be there for them unconditionally, pray for them, and be there when they need you. Other than that, there's nothing else we can do. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes we want to fix people. It's not always our job. How people view you will always be something that is out of your control. How people take what you say is out of your control. There's a quote that says, I stopped explaining myself when I realized that people only understand something from their level of perception. People are entitled to their own level of perception. That is something that, unfortunately, we can't control. And it gets to the point where you don't even care. You can't control how people receive your energy because, again, it's their perception of how you're coming across. And it's absolutely valid. But you don't have to accept that. You don't have to accept other people's perception of you. That comes from self. You know who you are. Don't let nobody tell you who you are. Respectfully, people's perception of you is none of your business. It's none of your business. You can control how you treat people, but you cannot control how they perceive you. You'll drive yourself insane worrying about how others view you. That is something that is strictly out of your control. You'll have a person tell you, oh yeah, I know Denise, I know Sunflower. She's the sweetest, most loving and warm person I ever met in my life. And you'll meet another person who will tell you I am a demon from hell. And you know what? You better believe them both. Because reality of it all, that is their truth. That is their perception. And who am I to take that away from them? Now, one thing that I don't have to do is own either one of those perceptions of me. Because what matters most is my perception of me. It's easy for someone to hold on to a version of you that you know very well you've graduated from. And it's difficult because it's like, I know I'm not that person anymore, but that's the only version of you that that person knows. It's frustrating being a person that has changed and all people remember is the older version of you. And it feels like they're not even giving you a chance to show them that you've changed. And so sometimes we're like, what's the point? There's a point because you're not changing for them, baby. You change for you. And just remain consistent for your behalf, not for other people. Because again, if that person's perception of you refuses to change, then so be it. You know who you are today. You know what you're capable of today. You know how you move. Forgive yourself and give yourself that grace. It helps to remind your ego and yourself what's in your control and what's not. Give yourself grace. Grant yourself that peace. Forgive yourself for the things that you did when you were that person because you cannot control the past. You can't go back and change the past. It's already happened. Forgive yourself. You fucked up. We all fuck up. Everybody fucks up. Please forgive yourself and work on healing and moving forward. A lot of times, us trying to control our past leads us to self-sabotage. Like I just said, sometimes we change. People don't acknowledge our change, and we really want them to. Sometimes we really want people to see how much we've changed. But the reality of it is, like I said earlier, people can only understand something from their own level of perception. You have to keep that in mind to accept other people's perception of you. But you don't have to accept that. You don't have to accept other people's perception of you. You ever notice when you detach from something and sort of develop it is what it is mentality, how quickly things come into fruition for you? That's an example. When you relinquish control and understand that there are some things that are just out of your control, and you let go and you let God, everything starts to unfold magically. Because you're taking that energy that you were putting into something that you were never, ever, ever going to control in the first place. And you're channeling that energy into the things that you need to do to work on yourself so that you make room for those manifestations. It's just how it works. You don't stress about the things that you can't control because there's no reason to. You don't stress about what people think of you because there's no reason to. I was just talking to my 17-year-old nephew. We were talking about this. He was saying that, people judge and people make perceptions of your life and insert their opinions. And I'm like, if they're not feeding or financing you, their opinion doesn't matter. That's the God honest truth. Especially if a person's opinion on me is negative and it's counteractive of what I believe. Nah. You can think whatever you want. If your story sounds better to you with me painted as the villain, so be it. The next time you're in a situation, I need you to assess what you can control and what you can't. Remember, you can control your actions, your behavior, how you view the situation. You can control whether or not you ask for help. You can control how much effort you put in. You can control how you treat and talk to others. You can control how you set boundaries and allow people to treat you. That is all you. A lot of times, just focusing on our perception of the situation does it. Because it's like, if I see a situation and something happens, I promise you, I have had to train my mind to when something happens that doesn't seem favorable to me. I'm like, okay, this didn't work out. Can't be meant to be. Because if it was, it would have worked out. So you know what? What can I do in this situation to fix it? If it's anywhere out of the scope of my control, it's not my problem. When you say let go and let God, I mean that when I surrender my problems, my issues, my woes to God. And to a lot of people, I sound delusional. But when I tell you there are so many blessings that come with that surrendering, there's so much peace that comes with my focus on everything that I can control and let go of what I can't. Because you literally can't do nothing. You're just sitting there worried about something you can't do nothing about. You cannot time travel. You are not the Flash. You cannot go back in history, create a flashpoint. You cannot do that. But you can control how you act moving forward. You can control how you perceive things, and you can control how you respond to how people treat you. So, I got homework for you. Yeah, you. The next time you are in a situation and you see yourself stressing over something, ask yourself, what I can control in this situation, and shift your focus to the aspects that you can control. A lot of time, my mind always goes to my perception of what's happening. Are you wasting your time, or is that a lesson learned? You have to ask yourself these things. Sometimes people are blessed or a lesson. That's a whole other episode. So that is today's episode. Thank you so much for sipping this juice with me. And you guys will hear me soon.